How's it going, guys? Instructor Joe. So I've been getting some questions at the range about how to take apart 1911. It's been a while since I posted a video, so I'm gonna post this how to take down your 1911. Well, this is my 1911 Springfield Armory. Some 1911s have minor differences, mainly in the guide rod. Some of the more higher end Springfields will have some Allen key that you need to remove that guide rod in, and some, if you replace your guide rod and everything for a full guide rod, you might need to take that apart first. So first things first, you're gonna make sure the gun's empty. If you do have one of those guide rods, you would remove that guide rod with the Allen key and everything. I like to do it with the hammer down. So what you're gonna do next, the end of the guide rod cap, you're gonna detent that. Now you don't need the tool necessarily, you can use anything. I'm gonna use this little cheap Sharpie thing. So I'm gonna use this little cheap Sharpie thing to detent that and rotate the bushing. So push down. I'm not gonna push it all the way so you can see what I'm talking about, and it's a little bit easier if you do it this way too. Rotating it. Cool. You can see how it's rotating. So rotate that, then you're gonna still maintaining pressure on that, rotate it all the way, and then that springs back up. At that point you can see the spring out. Sometimes the spring gets stuck in there. It's okay. I like to just keep the spring in there, keep the slide nice and together. Then the easiest thing to do is pull back on the hammer, and on this side what you're gonna do is put this over here, this smaller notch. I'm gonna put it right there. So what you're gonna do next is press in the pin in the back. See if it's perfect. You have to get this perfect. Look at it. Push it on this side, and that comes right out. Cool. After that, the slide should go all the way forward, and you got your lower receiver. That's all the way taken apart as far as cleaning and maintenance. Next, what you're gonna do, if you can take the rest of the guide rod spring out. After you take this out, what you're gonna do is rotate the bushing the other way. Actually, it was rotated that way, so you're gonna rotate it back this way. This is upside down. You're gonna kind of wiggle it out of there. Sometimes it'll get stuck because it's a new gun, or you just haven't cleaned it in a while, but then it comes right out. There's a notch right over here that you'll see that's how it goes into the slide, that way. So you just take it out, then you're gonna flip this little guy that way straight, because the barrel goes forward to it. That's your barrel, slide, and guide rod spring, guide rod cap, bushing. You got your retention pin and a low receiver. Cool. So that's how to take it apart. Now, for proper lubrication and everything, everybody has their different ways of doing it. Just basically where the metal's rubbing. You don't want to get into any lube into that little hole right there where the firing pin is. Yeah. And I'll put it together. It's almost the opposite. There's a certain way to do it. So putting the barrel back in, putting the bushing back in. Cool. Rotate this up. It's gonna move back and forth, so I like to have gravity help out. Then you're gonna slide this back onto the slide. Now what you're gonna, put this in first. Then you're gonna put this on. Now on some of the guide rods, there, if you see, it's like milled out, so the barrel's actually on that groove right there, and it's really loose. So when you're putting it in, you're gonna have to kind of make sure it stays in like that, and you want this definitely down. The easiest thing that I feel to do, you're gonna line this up with the retention pin hole right over there. So you're gonna slide it on slowly, so then you can see if it lines up good. Yeah, right there. Cool. Then when you see that it's lined up, that's when I put the retention pin back in, just slightly. I'm not putting it all the way, just slightly, so then that'll be fixed there. Then you move this notch back to this hole right over here. Now, the hardest part, or the most tedious part, is putting this back in here without scratching up the frame. Now, I've been doing this for not too long, maybe like 3 years or so, but as you see, I got this a year ago. There's no scratches right here because I'm really careful of how I do it. The way I do it, I'll try to explain how I do it. Cool. So I'll go overhead real quick. So what I'm gonna do is basically, if you see this retention pin, there's a gap right over here. You want to avoid getting in that gap. What I do is kind of go, I use this part to kind of detent this little spring right here, and then try to avoid that part over there. So I'm like hovering over the frame so this part doesn't scratch up the frame right over here. See, like no scratches there. So you just have to do it really carefully. See if I can do this one-handed. Alright. Hovering it over. No, I can't do this one-handed. Hold on. I got two hands. Basically, this hand, my right hand's gonna kind of keep this stable, keep the gun stable, and then I'm gonna move it. So let's see if I can do this.
So it's detented a little bit. Missed it. So detented. Okay, cool. Let's it out.
Sometimes it's hard, sometimes it's not. Most of the time it is. Sometimes it surprises you. Alright, that's not working. So what you can do is take a little tool, try to detent that a little bit. Do it. Kind of get it in there, trying to avoid that gap. See, no scratches, still hovering. And then really fast, push it back in. There you go. No scratches there, no scratches up there. That was the hardest part of putting back a 1911 together without scratching it. Now, when that's back in place, you're gonna push the side all the way forward. You can drop the hammer if you want, just so it won't scoop back on you. Then you put the guide rod cap in. Come on. And just like before, you're gonna push it in. Rotate it a little bit so it just stuck in, like catches. Then get the leverage, push down on the guide rod cap, rotate that more. See where it's pushing out, and then you can do your function check, make sure it's empty. Squeeze trigger, reset safety, safety's good, and then drop the hammer. Cool. So that's how to generally disassemble and assemble a 1911. As I said, if you have the other guide rods and everything, that's the main difference. Kimbers are kind of weird, or if you have that Kimber guide rod, which you have to like kind of pull back and then put like a little like safety pin or something in there to do it. You can YouTube that, but as far as Springfield or general 1911s, that's how to take them down. This is Instructor Joe, and happy shooting.